At just 17 years old, Ryu Kangmin is already one of the most goated hitmen alive. And now he just got offered the one thing he actually wants, his absolute freedom. To bag it, he has to head back to Korea for one last sick assassination. There is zero picture of his target, no exact location, barely anything except a single name. With millions of people living in Seoul, finding one random NPC should be basically impossible. But Ryu has trained his whole life to pull off the impossible. This crazy hunt forces him to hide his scars under a school uniform, act like some totally average transfer student, and finally touch grass with the normal life he got robbed of. If he catches a W, he never has to kill for the organization again. But Ryu knows better than anyone that freedom always comes with a heavy price. And you already know this whole mission feels way too sus to be normal. Tomorrow, his high school era starts. Tonight, though, he has one loose end to pack up. Inside a tiny Korean corner shop, blood is totally sprayed everywhere, painting the walls and appliances red. Our guy taps his earpiece to his contact, noting it is 6 p.m. Korean time and the target is officially wiped out. The contact asks if he is having any trouble in Korea, and he completely agrees. Since he is playing student now, buying cigarettes is a huge no-go. Just before this, he was low-key raging about the withdrawal from missing his smokes, saying he wanted to suck on a literal pacifier to numb the crazy cravings. If he knew it would be this bad, he would have maxed out his suitcase with cartons. Back in the day, even literal elementary school kids ran errands to grab booze and smokes for their dads. Did the awesome hospitality of Korea just vanish once it became such a developed country? Then again, the entire place has changed beyond recognition in just 10 years. It feels like a crazy futuristic city now. Expensive cars are flexing everywhere too. He watches a lady step out of her fancy ride and can totally tell that the standard of living, along with the whole vibe, even the way people live their lives, has shifted so much. Plus, there was nothing this massive before, and by massive he means this giant duck. Did this thing level up along with the country's status? But even with everything getting a reboot, the cherry blossom trees he remembers are still identical. A kid runs past him toward his parents, yelling that the giant duck made him crave duck soup. Our boy stares at this, suddenly getting hit with nostalgia from his own childhood, when he came here with his folks thinking the falling cherry blossoms were popcorn seeds he could actually eat. His mom playfully told him they should hit the theater for some real popcorn if he was hungry, since there was a certain movie he was hyped to see. The Secret Lesson of the Female Professor. His dad was 100% on board. Now though, walking down that exact same street, a super bitter feeling aches in his chest, something he honestly thought he could not feel anymore. Suddenly, his old school pager starts beeping, and he just scoffs, since he cannot even get a single peaceful second to reminisce. Well, he is literally here to grind out a job, so he better get moving. As evening rolls in and the sun finally sets, he makes his way over to a supermarket. Okay, it is mostly a rundown corner shop, but he likes it because this is where real people actually live. He pops his head inside and asks if anyone is around. Spotting absolutely zero people, he immediately He hits up the cigarette aisle, but that is exactly when someone else calls out from the main counter. The guy asks if students can even smoke, though the kid does not look surprised at all. He plays it cool, claiming he is just running an errand for his dad. His pops even handed over his credit card. He jokes about doing a 36-month installment plan. You can feel the tension spike. The dude gives a knowing look, turning his head right back, pointing out he is a customer too. The kid apologizes, explaining he binge-watched way too many K-dramas while living overseas. The guy just gave off major shopkeeper vibes from those shows, so it threw him off a bit. The man thinks that is a seriously crazy coincidence. He actually just got back from living abroad himself. The boy totally agrees, calling it a pretty insane coincidence. And by pure coincidence, they also used to hustle in the exact same line of work. He cannot even finish before it gets crazy. The man suddenly stabs right through the store shelf, because he totally knows who he is, a ruthless contract killer from overseas. Is he here to pack him up? The boy is just glad he catches on so fast. Still looking incredibly sharp for a snake who betrayed their organization. He violently pins him by the neck against the rack before throwing him down, pointing out how he flat-out murdered organization members and ran. He is here to end his life. After tossing him into the snacks, the guy points out he saw the credit card he was holding. Within their syndicate, agents get flex cards of different colors depending on their actual rank, and among those, the black card is strictly reserved for the absolute highest tier agents. He literally never even saw one. He honestly thought the thing was just a myth. The idea that some kid could actually be holding a goated black card is wild. The kid feels hyped. Getting praise from an industry veteran is honestly kind of touching. The dude looks him up and down, asking where his weapon is. Did he pull up totally unarmed? The boy just holds his hands up, saying airport security confiscated it. The man is in utter disbelief. To think a top-tier black rank could be stupid enough to ignore their basic rules. Rule number 1 is securing a weapon. He snaps off a piece of his box cutter and chucks it right at the kid who catches it to demonstrate the second assassination rule, a complete surprise attack hitting from behind. His crazy swing slices through the store, produce, and cola aggressively blasts from a plastic bottle. The kid grabs the guy by his wrist, asking why he even betrayed their entire organization. A pro agent like him must have enjoyed some seriously sick benefits, right? Why did he actually betray everyone? The man stays completely silent for a moment. Then he finally explains it is exactly like that random tin can sitting behind him. Every single day literally felt like being trapped inside of a cheap tin can. He smoothly tosses the box cutter between his hands, stepping back for just a second, before full-on charging him again. But the kid casually deflects his strike with the can, jokingly pointing out that is a pretty fire metaphor. Did he take some corny creative writing class at a local community center or something? The guy scoffs, wondering if the kid does not already know the truth. They start fiercely clashing, as the man explains just blindly doing whatever the organization demands. Living as their personal hunting dog until the day you drop dead is straight up hell. All he ever wanted was pure freedom. Their intense clash continues. The boy's tie gets clipped right at the tip until they clash one last time, slashing each other. Our boy got cut, sure, but he figures in exchange for that freedom, this dude definitely lost something. The man totally confirms it, the rim of his blade now dug right into his cheek. What he actually lost was his family. Once the agency caught wind of his betrayal, they wiped out his relatives. The boy gives him this crazy knowing look. The agency always tracks down the true identities of an agent's relatives, keeping them under heavy surveillance to stop exactly this kind of betrayal. Basically, they use them as permanent hostages. The man charges in again, swinging half a box cutter. But our kid just kicks a flour bag straight into his face. Dust completely blinds the area. He grabs the guy and slams him down hard, telling him, hey, even if you feel bad about it now, it is way too late. The dude agrees since he bought that freedom with his own family's lives. But honestly, he thinks that price was a steal. The boy is low-key shocked by his sick expression and asks, wait, you knew they would die and you still did it. The man sighs. Look, here is the actual deal. Every single one of these people constantly spouts the exact same annoying garbage. Doesn't matter who they are. Like this one store he visited all the time. He knew the owner for ages, but today of all the days to drop by, the guy looked like he was about to flat out collapse. Out of pure concern, he told him to take a day off and chill. You know what? He replied. If he rests, how will his family eat? He was a genuinely good dude. A hyped-up family man, literally working himself to death for his sick wife. And clueless kids inside a tiny 10 pyong shop spending his whole entire life sacrificing everything for them. But this guy, he just thinks the dude needs to touch grass. The kid asks if that was his only reason for killing him. The guy just says it was just super annoying, flexing this big sacrifice for his family and acting all happy about it. He wanted to protect his precious family, right, saying that he vanishes right into the flower mist, claiming this is exactly why he kept pushing forward all this time, why he survived as the agency's loyal dog. So here is some senior advice for the rookie family is nothing but a leash. With those harsh words, he slices through the back shelf, rushing in with a massive metallic clank. He yells out, if I have to live my whole life tied to a leash, then I would seriously rather cut my own throat, just like I sliced yours. But spoiler alert, our boy is completely unharmed by that wild attack. While a nasty gash sits right on the man's neck, the kid is just low-key annoyed. This tiny blade is way too small, meaning it cannot actually slash a throat. Now you gotta wonder how he pulled it off right. Dude should have tracked exactly where his broken weapon went. That is assassination rule number 3, never throw your gear around recklessly. The traitor drops to the floor, gripping his throat where a piece of his own cutter lodged. This wound is lethal. He chokes out a question, were you just toying with me this whole time? The boy totally disagrees. He was just checking if there was some next-level motive behind his betrayal. None of this is personal. He honestly means absolutely zero ill will. The man's grip on his neck tightens. At this point, he just knows. To be this insanely chill, this kid must be a goated agent sent straight from the organization sent me to pack him up. But nah, this dude has it completely twisted. Me coming to Korea, it definitely was not just to deal with him. He was basically a side quest, just some extra XP along the way. The actual final boss I need to drop is totally built different. So crazy special that I might actually have to sweat and risk my own life. He kept crying about wanting freedom, right? Hopefully he can go touch grass in the afterlife. With a quick strike, I pack the traitor up and call it good game. For a totally random side gig, it honestly was a sick warm-up. Time to lock in and head straight for my main assassination target. This run should be smooth sailing with absolutely zero lag. Only problem is I desperately need a new school uniform. This one is completely trashed. Tomorrow marks day 1 of my new school life and dropping this hyped major target. Next morning, while all these normal kids are living their basic NPC lives, I make my entrance. Now that I am officially on campus, maybe I can bum a quick smoke off someone. Reality check, this whole high school boy act is just my way to get close and secure the kill. Let me rewind 1 month back to the Angeles district outside a massive House representative mansion. I was there to run a mission at this private estate. Why does a standard house need this much insane security? Could the guy not just walk into his own grave peacefully? My target for the night was the House representative himself, Manuel Santos. Manuel completely understood why I crashed his party, but the dude begged me to release his family first. His kid was absolutely terrified, and his wife was bawling while trying to calm him down. Manuel pleaded that his fam had zero beef with me, so I should just let them dip out. I instantly agreed and pushed them forward because I always follow one golden rule. Never touch random NPCs unless they actually try to throw hands first. That is my absolute ironclad rule. Anyway, Manuel flashed a creepy smile, thanked me, then yelled out, "Prepare to fire." Seriously, having such soft thoughts in this game, the dude is just pathetically weak. I bet he is not even a B-grade contractor. What a joke. Manuel was shaking, assuming I was sent straight from Batala or some similar sweaty organization. He meant the Hotel Casino Batala, a massive flex spot catering to insanely wealthy whales, a legendary underground spot for crazy high-stakes gambling. But hidden behind all those basic slots is a VIP table where crazy dark wishes get granted. Some rich client went there recently and basically said, to accept this insane contract, you guys must be cracked. The dealer fired back, saying their casino pulls off jobs that even the actual government cannot touch. The client realized their goated reputation as the absolute top business in the world was totally legit. He asked, "Can you really pack him up?" The dealer smoothly nodded, "Yes." Their roster is stacked with nothing but the most elite sweaty contractors alive. They told him to pick his poison from the cards matching the contractor rank. The dude already fully understood the casino card meta, so he instantly locked in the spade ace and the dealer hyped up his choice. But the commission fee is incredibly high. The client knew that giant pile of premium gems behind him was more than enough. He wanted this job speedrun instantly, and obviously that spade ace was yours truly. After finishing the job and watching the target drop, I lit up a smoke, reaffirming my ironclad rule. He never throws the first punch, but they totally started it. So yeah, he spared the mom and kid, even dropping a sorry for ending the husband. She should just take comfort knowing karma will totally wreck him in the afterlife. Cut to Korea, where this teacher is just giving him the weirdest side-eye. Then it clicks, this guy is the actual transfer student he's supposed to meet today. The teacher lets out a heavy sigh, telling him to just drop an intro, then grab a random desk. Our boy turns to the whole class casually, saying it is super nice to meet everyone. He goes by Ryu Kang-min and he just moved from Daejeon. Plot twist, though, his real name is Spade A from Batala, this goated assassin squad, who sent him to drop a target. Bro literally enrolled doing the whole student cosplay. Since this country is way too safe, quietly taking them out is just not happening. He has to use this cover to get close, totally naturally, and then completely wipe them off the map. Before taking this gig, the dealer confirmed the target is definitely South Korean, currently living in Seoul. But hold up, there is one massive glitch in this mission. They literally have zero clue who the actual target is. Spade A wondered what kind of absolute nonsense this was, but the dealer deadass told him she was being serious. The client only dropped a name. Zero other details, just left the chat completely. Honestly, Spade A thinks hunting down a pure mystery name is pretty sick, but bro already did his homework and slayed it. Soon as class wraps up, he pulls up to class 1-7, basically where his target is supposed to be. Major problem, the target is apparently ditching school, meaning he needs a totally new strategy. Before he can even brainstorm, he spots some peak high school bullying happening right next door, where some huge guy from his class literally kicks a dude into a wall for blocking him. While the squad bails, this girl spots Spade A and asks if he is flying solo. He nods, straight up admitting he has absolutely zero friends here. Looks like Plan B just dropped in his lap. They head behind the school building. Of course, Spade A immediately sparks up, just totally vibing with this ridiculously funny look. The crew is hyping him up, and the leader asks if he really moved from Daejeon. If so, does he know Lee Seung-haeun, the absolute top dog back in Daejeon? Now, it is acting time to fully lock in as Ryu Kang-min. He plays it cool, saying obviously he knows all about Seung-haeun. When Seung-haeun heard he was transferring, they supposedly went out drinking together. Seung-haeun got so insanely trashed, he literally wrecked the entire karaoke machine all by himself. The girl cracks up at that. She already knew he wasn't some basic NPC though. Was he an absolute legend back in his hometown? Ryu shuts that down, claiming they were just casual bros, nothing too crazy. The leader jumps up, figuring he must be built different, so they should definitely team up. These are literally Ryu's first friends in Korea, so he obviously says yeah. Later that evening, school wraps up, and while he is walking out the main gates, he catches a few random boys from school chatting. One guy is asking if his buddy is heading straight to the academy, which he confirms since the van is already waiting. Ryu watches him step inside, and suddenly, those heavy childhood memories start flooding back out of nowhere. He remembers getting dragged into that car and driven to the middle of nowhere. When they finally let him out, a bunch of creepy dudes were waiting. They knew exactly what they were going to do with him, ship him straight to Angeles. If that day never happened, would his life actually be real instead of just some fake role? He plays for every single mission, but he barely gets a second to think about all that trauma, because suddenly, that girl grabs his arm, totally pressing herself right up against him. She claims she almost tripped and reminds him they totally met earlier today. Ryu completely botches her name, but she is actually Heian. She asks if he is heading straight home, and he quickly nods yes, the guy is. Beat from today. Chill out though. Heian drags Ryu elsewhere. Not bad. The lighting is a vibe, and this bed is honestly goated. Heian literally starts stripping right in front of him, saying that is just how they roll. He can game all day, binge watch shows, and grab whatever snacks he wants downstairs. She crawls over, pinning him down, asking exactly what activity he wants to kick off first. Wait, Ryu is confused. Is this seriously considered bullying? Suddenly, the whole squad jumps out, snapping pics and just laughing their absolute asses off. Bet he already wet his pants from fear, right? Even Heian cracks up. Honestly, that was some top-tier acting on her part. Ryu just asks why they are doing this. The head honcho steps up, saying that is exactly what he wanted to ask Ryu. When questioned about Lee Sang, whom Ryu completely capped, spinning some wild story of Lee getting trashed and wrecking a karaoke bar. But does he know Lee literally cannot drink? Turns out the guy has had a bad liver condition since childhood. The boss actually called Lee up, and Lee said he has zero clue who Ryu is. It was super obvious he was faking, especially after begging for smokes during class. One guy smacks him hard, declaring that from now on, Ryu is their automatic door every single break. Game on. Heian says they should finish what they started. Another dude agrees time to see exactly what is hiding. But the second he rips that school shirt open, everyone just freezes. The reveal is sick. When Spade first got offered this contract, the dude was high-key dodging the whole job, because half of Korea literally rocks that exact same name. Did she seriously expect him to body every single one of them? Super annoying, no cap. Even after finishing the gig, he would still have to crawl back to Batala. If missing, his fam gave him major cold feet at the worst possible time, and the urge to stay got too heavy, he might completely fumble the mission. He knows exactly what would happen to his folks, but the dealer tells him to just chill out. This bounty hits completely different from any side quest he has ever done. So Batala dropped a seriously goated reward for this literal permanent freedom. Spade instantly drops his piece, asking if she is actually being for real. She totally confirms it. Finish this sick job and he never has to return here again. Since this might be his last run, he absolutely must clutch up. The bully squad is totally shook, staring at Riot's insanely shredded build, not just those muscles. Battle scars on full display. Bro really has zero choice left. His golden rule: never touch anyone but the target unless they swing first. With that boundary officially crossed, he gets to clap back with a massive slap. But this hit against the dude who ruined his shirt. It absolutely launches the guy straight into the dirt. His backup plan is basically baiting all the heavy hitters running this school. He needs to build a wild persona, something sick enough to trigger them into attacking. He drops a casual apology for the overkill. Controlling his stats is pretty tough. Then he invites the next victim up. He definitely wants a redo on that slap. Flashback 6 years ago to Kamatan, a private Batala island with 3 minutes of training left. Ryu is heavily chained up underwater, basically trapped. An instructor casually asks if he just wants to be shark food. Back then, he was just trainee number 55, rocking his real name, Ryu Kang-min. The instructor points out 8 full minutes passed. At this point, his lungs should be fully giving out. He barely survives the breakout. Bro almost became an actual all-you-can-eat buffet for local sharks. Limping toward the flag, he prays hard to his grandma. He tells her the favorite grandson she raised totally refuses to join her up there today. He tries catching his breath, but suddenly feels his instructor pressing a gun against his skull. The instructor coldly states that he missed the deadline by an entire minute. Ryu instantly updates that prayer looks like he might be visiting her up there after all. A loud bang rings across the empty island, instantly scattering the seagulls. But the bullet misses by a mile. Ryu immediately slams his instructor right into the dirt. He violently impales the guy's hand with the flag, using the environment to clutch up. Just crazy professional instincts. He didn't even blink when that weapon was leveled right at him. Was this his last desperate struggle before dying? Ryu figures the instructor thinks he is stupid, but to him this is basic logic. The very first shot is just a safety blank, entirely fake. He definitely knows that everything after that is a live, absolutely lethal round. Right on cue, another massive bang echoes across the island, and this one is real. Watch how he operates now. South Korea feels ridiculously peaceful to Ryu. It is night and day compared to the literal hell he actually survived. His current ops are just high school kids, super basic ones honestly. He obviously cannot just straight up kill them, so he needs a much smarter angle. Step 1 is setting up a rock-solid justification. It cannot look like a highly one-sided beatdown. This has to look like mutual combat between them both, so he deliberately turns his back, casually picking up his fully trashed shirt. One angry bully instantly charges in, swinging a heavy metal fire extinguisher. Gunning for a headshot, the kid yells not to worry about ruining his school uniform anymore, because he's about to be rocking a hospital gown for the rest of his miserable life. But Ryu effortlessly blocks it easily, crushing the metal extinguisher with his bare hands. He calmly replies that he actually has zero health insurance anyway. This right here is step 1 for leaving an impression: pure, overwhelming dominance. He violently grabs the kid by the face and yeets him straight through a mattress. He wants the name Ryu Kang Min permanently tattooed into their minds as an absolute nightmare. Everyone is absolutely shook seeing this dude literally folded through a whole mattress. Then Ryu pulls up on them with just one question. The girl ducks for cover, crying that he wouldn't hit females. The dude beside her claims he's a girl too. Ryu could not care less about their act. He just asks where their other friend is. They are missing one guy, that returning student from the next class who ditched. He corners one of the dudes, asking if he knows where this truant kid is. The guy sweats, asking why Ryu even wants to know. Ryu claps back, asking if there's a reason he shouldn't. The kid immediately spins around, and bro absolutely books it out of there. He knows Ryu is going to fold him even if he talks. Ryu is basically a walking nightmare. He chases after him, saying he totally wouldn't hit him. Well, not too hard anyway. He checks the bathroom, but the kid is nowhere in sight. Plot twist: bro is hiding behind the door, gripping the shower hose for dear life. The kid smirks, thinking his acting skills are totally goated, because his ultimate dream is snatching Best Supporting Actor at the Black Dragon Film Festival. He goes all out, using maximum strength, trying to choke Ryu out. But Ryu easily snaps the hose, casually flexing that he is a pretty sick actor too. In action thrillers anyway. Ryu drops a spinning kick that literally nukes half the bathroom. He plants the guy firmly into the floor. Welcome to step 3. Hitting them with pure instinctual fear. Total absolute terror mode. The girl shrieks and sprints to their leader, begging him to just dip. If they hop on the electric scooter, they can make a serious getaway right now. Ryu strolls out of the wrecked bathroom. Why do all this when they could just answer? The panicked girl smacks the leader right on his back, and he steps up, grabbing the door leading out into the hallway. He starts flexing that he was in the youth MMA national team trials. Bro was a hype prospect, favored to secure the bag and all the epic glory. He had the win on lock, if only he had not completely crushed his opponent's skull. Ryu stares at the doorknob. The leader just dented his eyes, widening just a bit. The leader hypes himself up, saying this is exactly why he is so pumped. It has been ages since he threw hands with an absolute unit like this, so they should scrap until every single one of Ryu's bones is crushed. Meanwhile, in the next room, all that chaotic noise echoes through. Some random guy complains that the racket next door is getting super intense and annoying. The girl beneath him rolls her eyes. Is he really just going to sit there doing nothing? Hearing her call him out, he instantly gets super flustered. He boldly claims that noise complaints demand an even louder counterattack, so they are about to make some insane noise to literally shake the walls. Too bad they have absolutely zero time for that. Watch this. Ryu just launches the MMA leader directly through their freaking drywall. Step 4, eliminating the boss. And he absolutely wrecks him, folding the guy into a pretzel. Ryu casually scratches the back of his head, totally unbothered, joking that cheap modern construction is a super serious problem these days. But the only reason he even bothered with these tedious steps is for the finale. As the girl tries to ditch him, he teleports behind her, looking ready to strike. Instead, he actually pushes the door open for her, because this is the final step: mercy. Once she is terrified, he casually plays the good guy. She begs for forgiveness, swearing she will never try a stunt like that again. But Ryu hits her with a curveball. He was never planning to strike her. He just needs a solid favor. Out of everyone around, she is the chosen one, the only one who can pull this off. His manipulation tactics are absolutely goated. She instantly agrees to do whatever he wants. But first, Ryu wants the tea on that returning student she brought up earlier. Who exactly is this guy? Cut to a sketchy rundown basement somewhere else. A bunch of thugs are totally vibing and celebrating as the cash just keeps rolling in. One guy brags about knowing people would instantly drop their wallets for this content. That one leaked video literally made more bank than their entire last year combined, and because of that, they get to feast like kings. Whether it is premium sashimi or human targets, fresh is clearly the way to go. A goon nods along, saying, the glossy aesthetic is completely sick. The boss checks his phone. Downloads are literally going to the moon right now. The site is basically crashing hard, all thanks to this one viral clip. It is a wild world, though. People really need to touch grass-dropping cash to watch some dude strip. But hey, thanks to that footage, they are making absolute bank down in this dump. It is practically a financial masterpiece. One of the goons asks, with traffic this heavy, won't the cops track them? Should they maybe pack up and bounce? The boss tells his crew to just chill out. They grab the video off Telegram and the servers are safely hosted overseas. As for their location, screw the cops. Not even the head of the FBI could ever track them down. But get this right on cue. A sudden knock on the door makes everyone freeze. The boss orders a lackey to go check it out and the guy obliges, demanding to know who is out there. The guy outside asks for the video leaker. He is in here, right? The boss is completely baffled by this blonde punk. Dude definitely does not scream cop. He demands to know his crew. One thug guesses he is with the single gang, while another thinks he reps the Hyungsuk gang. But the blonde delinquent completely ignores them. Just take the damn video down. A thug actually laughs that he has the absolute sheer nerve to make demands. He tells the kid to unzip his pants before he literally wets himself in fear. The thug lunges while his buddies joke that the room is about to smell awful, so maybe he should go easy on the kid. Except, a brutal spray of blood totally shuts them up. The thug who just lunged literally gets his ear blown off. While he screams in agony, the rest start sweating bullets. That was definitely a gunshot. And right on cue, the blonde punk flashes a piece. Now watch this. He forces the wounded guy down too. The crew absolutely loses their minds, realizing he is packing heat. And the blonde calmly repeats his demand, delete the video right now. The boss nearly drops to his knees to dive under the nearest table. But he realizes that totally did not sound like real gunfire. What even is that? Another goon suddenly flanks the blonde delinquent, screaming his lungs out for a wild tackle. This delinquent literally just points his piece backward and blasts him. He demands the video deleted once again. The dude missing an ear tells him it is just a modded BB gun, a literal toy, so absolutely no reason to be shook. The last two, standing the wounded goon and some completely frozen guy, charge him at once. But this blonde dude does not wear that flashy jacket for nothing. He whips out a second gun and blasts them both in the head with insane metal ball bearings, leaving the whole floor absolutely soaked and littered with dead bodies. Snatching up the cash from the safe, the boss is just standing there wondering how that is even possible. What kind of fake gun completely shatters a skull? He wonders what he should do now. Call the cops or nah, but before he can even decide, our blonde menace shoves the barrel right to his head, telling him to scrub the video, unless he wants to get absolutely flatlined like those pigs behind him. The boss understands he just has to hit delete right, just rip the hard drive straight out of the PC, and do whatever with it, smash it or stash it. Why is he going this totally overboard? Did the victim actually hire him? The delinquent just wonders what he is babbling about. That guy in the video is literally him. It is super tiny, but he can see it, and he definitely does not want anyone else seeing his embarrassingly tiny package. With that, he blasts him too, leaving behind a loud but heavily muffled bang. Meanwhile, Ryu heads back to his crash pad, for now a pretty sick residential house. Inside the crib, right behind his dresser, is a deep hidden tunnel with a locked door. His secret base. He actually dug up some solid intel on Jung Hyun-soo. Dude uses a gun in South Korea where firearms are crazy illegal. That is massively bold. But he is literally just running around with a modded toy, totally fake. The hardware Ryu is holding down in this basement is the real deal, entirely perfect for wrecking his day. You have to love these meetups. Next day, Ryu drags everyone to a random kids' park and just bums a smoke off one of the guys, who immediately hands it over. Then he demands a light from the leader, who sparks him up with zero hesitation. Next up, he asks for the ashtray. Ha-yoon is sitting there wondering why they are meeting like thugs, and Ryu simply says they need to wrap up yesterday's chat, all about that weird kid from the next class who basically never shows up. But the second he drops that name, the whole vibe just completely dies, especially with Ha-yoon. Did some crazy drama happen, maybe with that friend of theirs? Flashback to a shooting range where Ha-yeon was completely selling and missing almost every single shot. Of course, she completely blamed the gun, claiming the sights were basically pure garbage. She basically wanted to scrap the gun and toss it straight into a washing machine. She was getting crazy tilted because she seriously wanted to secure that first prize, that goofy Kochu plushie. Ryu honestly does not get why she is so hyped, but right then, Hyun-soo randomly pulls up a 20-year-old student, by the way, in a Neil high school. Dude finally dragged himself back to class after ghosting for ages. He snatched a gun right from her hands and told her to just watch. She actually giggled at his goofy stance, while Hyun-soo straight up claimed he had never shot before. Right before his first shot, she just drops her cheek directly on his shoulder, asking if he really wants that plushie. And honestly, dude instantly starts beaming target after target. The leader thought his aim was goated, joking that the military desperately needed aimbot talent like him. One dude jokes our national defense is in totally goated hands. Later on, Hyun-soo drops that cursed plushie on her since he aced it. Ha-yoon thanks him the only way she knows how, giving his arm a pat. She promises she will definitely pay him back for this solid next time. Hyun-soo looks super hyped about it, and as the crew walks away, he stares at his toy gun, like it is some legendary loot, wondering why. Everyone hypes up being a good shot. Whatever, who cares if it scores him? Random stuff like this. Fast forward to tomorrow, Ha-yoon gets summoned to the station, but she is totally not vibing with it. Why the heck is Ryu even obsessed with a dude like that? She just wants to ghost him permanently. Right then he rolls up asking what she is yapping about all alone. Did she finally lose it? Ha-yeon wonders what on earth he is saying. She also wonders why he copied her fit. Ryu claims it is purely random, just matching aesthetics. Right, Ha-yoon awkwardly coughs it off, then asks why he dragged her out to a spot like this solo on a weekend. Ryu asks if she remembers that room cafe promise where she owed him a solid favor. He heard this area is literally the most hyped spot in all of Seoul. Since he is basically a local noob, he needs a proper tour guide, right? She completely calls cap on that. She knows his actual game. This dude absolutely wrecked all those punks earlier and acted like a total boss. She was low-key terrified he would make her do sketchy stuff. She assumes he's totally crushing on her, but spoiler alert, she's wrong. She is miles away from what is actually going down. Walking together, Ryu asks if there is any specific food she wants to smash first. Meanwhile, a random creep snaps their picture. Just some shady stalker blending right into the background. They hit up this famous joint, but Ha-yeon is totally shook by an 80-dish spread. Are they dining like actual kings today? He has literally never dated before, has he? His whole restaurant strategy is a massive fail. Ryu puts his hands up and apologizes. Keeping it real, he has never actually had a legit squad. So he is totally clueless about ordering. Ha-yeon immediately softens up at that. She asks what he is even yapping about. He should just shut up and eat. She is supposed to be cutting weight, so why bring her to a god-tier buffet? They start chowing down, and the food is so crazy good she instantly forgets her diet. And yep, another stalker is there, snapping pics of him wiping her face. Next up, they hit an alpaca petting zoo for some wholesome vibes. And one alpaca immediately disrespects Ryu by spitting right in his face. Naturally, another shadow is lurking nearby. Seriously, who hired all these creeps? After that, they pull up to an art gallery. Ryu looks deeply moved by some random modern art exhibit literally titled Excrement, Not Art. He asks if she feels that raw emotional rush like a perfectly flushing toilet. And of course, there is another creep snapping sneaky pics without her even realizing it. Finally, they roll up to this spot called Bloor, but just awkwardly stand outside. While taking cute pics of Ha-yoon, Ryu wonders how much longer he has to fake this. She straight up tells him he is stuck until she is happy. But he points out that his storage space is totally maxed out, which is wild considering his phone packs terabytes of space. They lean in close and someone snaps a pic basically completing the stalker catalog. The sun dips down, the moon pops up, and they take a chill stroll through the park. Ryu gives Ha-yeon a huge shout out for the tour, saying the whole vibe was incredibly fun. Parting ways right now honestly feels like a massive bummer. So how about one final shooting game? Obviously, that instantly triggers Ha-young's memories of a certain guy, and Ryu catches her reacting immediately. The kiosk dude lays out the rules. Just hit one single target out of 10 tries, and he scores an adorable plushie. Ryu smirks, thinking that is way too easy. The guy nods but knows it is basically impossible, that gun's aim is completely busted and rigged. You could literally bring in a special ops soldier and they would totally whiff every single shot. Ha-young teases him, saying there is absolutely zero chance he even lands a single hit. But Ryu immediately wants to bet on it. If he clears the whole board from here out and bags that goated plushie prize, she owes him one final favor in return. The kiosk owner just laughs at this completely pointless flex. But wait for it, Ryu pops off completely, destroying every single target. The guy totally deflates, wondering if he just got hustled by a top-tier assassin, which honestly is pretty spot on. Ryu then turns to Ha-young, asking if she wants a turn, and steps in close to coach her. That is when the final sneaky picture gets snapped. Ha-young bounces after that, clutching her grand prize, an absolutely hideous little plushie that bounces around like crazy. She checks her screen, her mind totally stuck on Ryu. She tries guessing what kind of favor he will cash in now, but his only request is for her to drop a pic of them on social media. Stepping inside the elevator for the long ride-up, she realizes his whole Seoul sightseeing excuse was actually crazy transparent. Face wiping the selfies, playing the total nice guy, his whole game plan was super obvious. He actually thought that would hype her up. She's blushing hardcore even while trying to deny it. Because Ryu has that meticulously crafted riz, and honestly, his mastermind plan totally worked. His real target just binge-viewed every single photo. The sneaky one from that burner account restaurant shot the exhibit flex, and definitely that sick target practice selfie they took. Hyun-soo has seen it all. The elevator doors finally slide open on her floor, and Ha-young is staring dead at Hyun-soo, who literally looks a little constipated right now. He aggressively yanks her inside the apartment and forcefully grabs her chin, whispering how sketchy it is to be out this late. She should have come straight home. Ha-young asks what he is doing here while he violently grips her throat. Hyun-soo scans the room, mentioning how her studio brings back heavy memories. First time back inside since that specific day, right? Back when the whole squad got hammered for that little celebration. Ha-young actually warned everyone not to go so hard, swearing that if anybody threw up in her crib, they were literally dead meat. The group just kept chugging, but Hyun-soo stepped up and told her to chill out, promising he would babysit the crew. Ha-young was super thankful. She figured his older age made him the goated reliable guy in the room. He says, "Bet, just trust him." But one bottle quickly turns into a casual 8. Now the whole squad is totally plastered dead asleep. Ha-young crashes on her bed, but the creep Hyun-woo slides in right behind her. Hyun-woo whispers to ask if she is asleep. Getting zero response, he scoots closer. He crosses a line, making Ha-young shriek. What this weirdo does next is painfully obvious. He pins her down, totally crying about how her reporting him ruined his entire life. He got kicked out of school and his family disowned him, all her fault. Ha-young gasps for air and bites back. How is that my problem? She straight up calls him a predatory scumbag. Hyun-woo is totally in denial, claiming she is the one who seduced him first, touching his arm, casually throwing herself at him and promising she would pay him back. Plus, she constantly called him oppa, gushing about how he was such a reliable guy. In his mind, she liked him first and totally led him on like a manipulative fox. Today is no different. Posting that pic with some other dude, obviously she was just trying to make him crazy jealous, right? Why else would she literally go out of her way to revisit their old shooting game? Ha-young is so done with this unhinged yapping and smacks him hard across the face. She tells this guy to touch grass, go hold his mommy's hand somewhere else, and check into his psych ward before it is too late. Out of nowhere, Hyun-woo whips out a gun and blasts the floor plushie. He claims he has been hardcore prepping for this exact meetup since day one. He even recorded himself practicing all sorts of creepy stuff. Getting to finally show off his sick little routine has him literally shaking with hype. He laughs, Ha-young shrieks, but suddenly a rag is shoved right over her nose. Enter Ryu, who casually mentions he never expected Hyun-woo to show up this fast. Hiring those fake paparazzi really paid off. The guys who snapped the photos report back, confirming they leaked all the pics on the down low. These are actually just the old bullies, and they are beyond salty right now. Taking an epic beatdown was not enough. Now he has them running basic errands. Their whole mission was to snap fake couple pics and blast them all over social media. They totally nailed it, so they avoid another beatdown, right? The head bully is super confused. Ryu clearly does not even like Ha-young. So why pull this massive stunt? Ryu walks inside holding Ha-young, totally knocked out cold by the chloroform rag. He tells Hyun-woo that tracking him down was a massive headache. But falling for a bait post, was this dude seriously that thirsty? Hyun-woo glares at him, asking if he is the new boyfriend. Ryu steps up, mocking him for actually believing they were a real couple. Hyun-woo instantly starts shaking with pure rage. Realizing he got completely played, he quickly aims his weapon to blast Ryu. Ryu is slightly caught off guard. Zero warning, Hyun-woo just rips the trigger. He does not care. Once Ryu drops, Ha-young is all his. Ryu just snatches the tiny toy gun from him, asking if he actually wants her this bad. How about a little shooting match? Then winner takes the girl as a prize. Oh, and plot twist, the real piece in Ryu's other hand is one shot, one kill. When Hyun-woo found out his video got leaked online, he was literally fresh out of the shower. And yeah, he was absolutely triggered. He figured that sketchy phone repair guy leaked it. Makes sense why the dude charged him basically nothing. He immediately started plotting how to put a bullet straight through that scammer's skull. Suddenly, a random guy chilling in his apartment speaks up, mentioning how Hyun-woo clearly missed that his little clip is already going viral. Hyun-woo is completely baffled and demands to know who the hell this stalker is. The intruder totally ignores the question, just casually dropping some hard facts instead. That video is currently blowing up online, with everyone roasting his desperate attempts to pick up girls. Dude was practicing his riz all alone in his room and actually filmed it. Reviewing his own pickup lines in bed is honestly maximum cringe. Plus, the fact that he just casually owns a literal firearm makes him absolutely goated for stirring up some top-tier online drama. Hyun-woo steps up, barking at the guy to answer his damn question. Seriously, who the hell are you? The guy claims he works for a shady network that farms toxic clickbait to rake in some massive profits. He acts as a recruiter hunting for edgy talent with the potential to cancel themselves and cause absolute chaos. His cringe video was sick, so he asks if Hyun-woo wants to join their squad. But watch this. Ryu points his own weapon and Hyun-woo does not even flinch. He actually grabs the barrel, shoves it against his own forehead, and tells him to just pull the trigger. He taunts Ryu, asking if he is too chicken to take the shot. Ryu obviously does not care and fires, but the round literally bounces right off his skin. The impact definitely stings like crazy, but it is nowhere near a fatal hit. Ryu thinks that is super weird. Why is this thing loaded with rubber bullets? Seeing that Ricochet, whoever supplied the ammo, clearly did not ship deadly rounds. Hearing that, Hyunwoo just sighs and stands up. Like duh, they would never mail real live rounds. He reaches into his jacket, totally admitting that this whole situation is an absolute L. He grips a second piece and blasts right through his own coat. Ryu dodges easily since that move was super predictable, but Hyunwoo fires again, proving this piece is totally lethal. Ryu questions if this is even a modified toy, because kids definitely need to touch grass instead of holding this. You can easily tell some absolute pro customized this hardware, and there is zero chance a total noob like Hyunwoo did these mods himself. Hyunwoo keeps spamming the trigger, but Ryu just keeps dodging. He notes that the aiming calibration on that thing is basically a masterpiece. Dude has racked up a massive rap sheet with that weapon, yet he has never seen the inside of a cell. Someone major must be backing him. And yeah, Ryu knows about this network. They're this massive, completely underground crime syndicate in Korea. They recruit scattered students nationwide and run everything through these tiny disconnected cells to stay off the radar. That setup makes finding the actual boss pretty much impossible. But Ryu still has to track down the admins because his main assassination target is hiding right at the top. So obviously he had to crash this little party. Hyunwoo aggressively rushes in screaming to ask if he looks like a total joke while Ryu just effortlessly sidesteps. Hyunwoo is basically a low-tier grunt Ryu tracked down while digging for intel. He is just the tutorial boss Ryu needs to clear before reaching the real endgame target. Eventually, Ryu gets backed right up against the kitchen cabinets. Hyunwoo moves insanely fast, firing point blank, but Ryu completely dodges it again. Ryu teleports right into his personal space, just absolutely peppering his face with rubber bullets. Then he totally yeets him backward, smashing him right into the TV screen. Ryu just casually pops the fridge for a Coke, wondering if this dude is really going to keep crashing out. Hyunsoo is fully tweaking now, violently shaking while screaming that he is totally not the villain here. Turns out, after that specific incident, he just rotted alone in his bedroom. He tried spamming Ha-yeon with messages, but she had already completely blocked him everywhere. Wild. Sadness morphed into pure rage, remembering how she once called his hobby super sick. She liked guns. So he practically made that his entire personality. Now he thinks he is just some tragic, heartbroken victim. Ryu just scoffs because that is some massive Delulu logic. Suddenly, Hyunsoo actually starts singing aloud, swearing he loves her with his whole entire soul, just screaming that he is insanely obsessed with her, no cap. He whips out a second piece, deciding that if he cannot date her, nobody gets to, aiming one barrel at Ryu and the other right at Ha-yeon. Ryu is honestly a bit stunned by how unhinged this dude is. Hyunsoo figures his life is officially cooked, so they might as well get married post-respawn. With that, he just starts spraying bullets wildly around the whole apartment. Windows and lights get absolutely trashed, empty casings hitting the floor in a steady rhythm. Eventually, his clips run totally dry, but his eyes are bulging and completely bloodshot. Then he realizes Ryu literally tanked the whole barrage using the mini fridge door. Ryu just shrugs. Korean appliances are honestly goated for a reason. Strong enough to eat bullets for breakfast, keeping Ha-yeon completely safe behind him too. Hyunsoo is fully buffering right now. Ryu really dodged hot lead just to save her. Why would any guy go that hard, wait holding up inside or placed together? Did they seriously hook up? In that exact bed, there is just no shot. Watch closely now as this guy completely spirals. Ryu decides to troll him even harder, asking if he really wants the spicy details, pretending to be all shy about it. Obviously, he is just totally capping. But Hyunsoo is way too triggered to realize it, aiming his empty weapon once again, trying to fire another round, but suddenly a real bullet rips right through his gun, smashing squarely into his finger and leaving a super bloody mess. Ryu orders him to shut up or the neighbors will definitely hear his crying. If he makes another peep, his whole entire head is getting blown off. This right here is a Glock 17. It shoots 9x19mm parabellum. From this point forward, every single shot fired is going to be completely lethal. That reality check cures his hysteria instantly, sending his raw survival instincts into overdrive. Staring down the barrel of a loaded weapon, he totally dips out of the apartment and Ryu lets him bolt. Surveying the totally wrecked living room, Ryu just sighs. Dude should have touched grass ages ago. Throwing on his coat, he steps out into the bustling Seoul nightlife. There is even a cafe made out on the streets promoting her spot. But Hyunsoo gives zero cares about that, rudely shoving the maid aside. He's in full panic mode because the literal Grim Reaper is tailing him, just effortlessly tracking him with a bored face while this guy sprints, wondering how he fumbled. Hyunsoo is the victim here, the dude who totally got played by a woman. So why is Ryu beefing with him? Well, Ryu is honestly just glad the guy has crazy energy. Thanks to that, they made it here way faster than expected. He hooks his phone straight to the outdoor LED screen, flashing ads right above them. The giant billboard lights up with Hyun-soo's absolute most humiliating footage, and he literally stops to stare just like everybody else. The crowd is watching this with some serious levels of disgust, but everyone basically agrees that it is way too small to see anything. He instinctively grabs his crotch, suddenly feeling super exposed right now, and screams out that it is not small. He was just caught off guard today. He sees Ryu standing right there smirking, holding the phone tight in his hand, and he connects the dots. This troll totally did this right, the traffic. Light flips from green straight to red. The street is dangerous once again. Hyun-soo charges at Ryu, dropping all his fear, and screams at him to take the cursed video down. But before he can, a massive truck smashes right into him, sending him flying while his cringe video plays in the background. Perfect timing. Maybe bro will just get ice-cade. Ryu starts walking away, absolutely not planning for Kamso, this totally wild ending. But honestly, it looks like he got exactly what he deserved. Naturally, this is the only thing anyone is gossiping about the next day. School. The news that Hyun-soo actually got wrecked by a truck spreads like wildfire, especially among the bullies. As the whole crazy incident blows up on social media, he is officially the most viral guy in the country. You honestly cannot script this stuff. Ha-Yen chills at her usual desk, but her energy is way off today. She genuinely wonders why he had to get run over on the exact same day he visited her place. That is, honestly so annoying and creepy, plus she has no idea why her head hurts so bad. Her temples are completely throbbing. She cannot remember anything from yesterday, as if he totally blacked out. She just remembers that creep showing up and her screaming. Did she pass out right after? She swears she heard Ryu talking, but there was definitely someone else there. Someone who apparently showed up to scrub her place, but she really cannot tell if that was a fever, dream, or real memory. Later that night, Ryu strolls down the street holding a bag of cheap convenience store snacks. He wonders how Zero shops in this area will sell him any smokes at all. Bro is literally living my nightmare. Why does his fake identity have to be 17? He really should have begged them for a 24-year-old profile who already finished his mandatory military service, at least. He sighs heavily, realizing he has to quit smoking for 3 years, and he even has to do military service all over again. This straight up sucks. Out of nowhere, sketchy recruiter from before drops in saying it is nice to finally meet him. Ryu points out it is pretty weird to ambush a high school kid like this, and the guy apologizes if he made him uncomfy. The huge billboard hacking stunt downtown. Yeah, that was insanely impressive to watch. He hands Ryu a business card explaining they run an underground organization called The Network. Honestly, Ryu just smirks because this was way too predictable. When a massive scandal hitting their own members goes totally viral, they have zero choice but to investigate. The suit explains they want top-tier talent who can pull off wild stunts like that. And Ryu flexes that he does have a pretty goated sense of style. This is where the usual play is joining a network's bottom-tier branch as a straight-up rookie and grinding his way up to actually reach the main target. That is the classic route. But he stops and thinks inside an anarch organization, a recruiter's job literally has to be held by some high-ranking VIP, meaning they probably have a direct line to the big boss or at least someone close to them. He reaches into his convenience store bag. No snacks in there, just a loaded gun. He tells the recruiter to speedrun him to the boss right now, no stalling. Bro, this is literally cheating. You cannot just skip to the final boss like this. Before heading to Korea to kick off this mission, Ryu hit up the dealer's place. She was just chilling in her garden trimming a hibiscus plant. He casually announces he is there. Just a heads up, the Hawaiian hibiscus apparently has a hidden meaning, and its meaning is a thick backside. She calls cap on that, but Ryu swears by it because ChatGPT literally told him so. More importantly, she is pretty triggered that he just broke into a lady's house, tossing the gardening shears right at him and roasting his super weird hobbies. Ryu blocks the attack with his new passport, prompting the dealer to ask, was it not time for him to dip out of Korea? Ryu claims a bunch of pigeons hijacked the runway, so can he crash here for a bit? Oh, and for the record, he physically cannot sleep without a lap pillow. He hands the shears back while walking over to her, and she casually replies, tough luck. But seriously, what is his actual reason for pulling up today? Ryu checks his new passport and points out that whenever a hitman takes a job, they get a fake identity, right? But this time, the passport straight up has his real name on it. Even his actual birth date is printed there. What is she really plotting here? The dealer brushes it off, just a favor, not some scheme. Once he clears this mission, the Spade A title dies. He just becomes Ryu Kangmin. He can touch grass, live freely. Ryu calls out that the freedom part is exactly what makes zero sense, especially since his past jobs involved zeroing a literal Supreme Council member of this country, or wiping out a crazy rich American family. The payout was always cash, so why does clapping one random Korean citizen buy his freedom? The dealer casually shoves a hibiscus flower right between his nose and lip and tells him this entire setup comes straight from the upper management guys. No point in arguing about it. She can only drop fully verified facts. She pulls out another folder mentioning it just came through on the fax, so the plan was to hand it over once he touched down in Korea. She explains the main target actually built an underground crew. It runs as a super careful cell network, so they only managed to dox a handful of members. His first objective is to go make direct contact with one of them. Ryu looks and sees they are all students. Are they expecting him to babysit? The dealer warns him not to get ahead of himself, because just like a beautiful flower blooms up top, its roots grow deep in the dark. This whole sick syndicate might actually be running deep underground. Ryu immediately demands a face-to-face with the guy's boss, but the recruiter just shrugs, zero chance and threats won't work. Not a threat, Ryu spits out and pulls the trigger. The recruiter flinches, totally confused. What exactly is the big plan with a BB gun? Ryu watches him annoyed he isn't sweating. The recruiter just smirks, kind of wild. A 17-year-old still touches grass with a toy weapon. How did he clock the fake? Ryu grips the plastic. The recruiter laughs, bro, there is zero chance a high schooler in Korea is packing real heat. But since he asked, here is the breakdown. The weight is completely off and that paint job is absolute trash. While he keeps yapping, Ryu just stares. That is definitely not a simple read. Now the recruiter wants a turn to ask questions. What is the endgame with the network? He leans in close and whispers. Ryu violently shoves back, skin crawling. What is with the creepy ASMR whisper? The dude literally stalked him first. They're standing right outside his own front door. The recruiter nods and drops a quick "my bad." Tomorrow at 2 p.m. though, he expects a meetup at the address on this card. It is pretty weird that the kid is actually flexing a plastic toy gun. But why does it reek of actual gunpowder? Ryu squints, jaw clenched. Did he seriously catch that? The guy is definitely no basic NPC salesman. Dude is a straight-up hitman. Ryu heads inside, slamming the door, marching straight down into his basement. Now watch this. He hits up his dealer, confirming he finally tagged that underground organization. A goated cartel using underage kids to spark massive scandals and cash in. But the dealer shuts him down, zero chance. This side quest leads anywhere big. Ryu argues they are ghost scrubbing every single digital footprint. The dealer asks if he accidentally made his cover identity a total noob. Ryu curses, no way he did that, or at least he really hopes not. She points out their front is literally a sketchy high school fight club vibe, when in reality, they are the Korean network, a massive heavyweight underworld criminal empire. Just like Batala hiding their sick operations behind a flashy hotel casino, Ryu mutters. Pretty much identical playbooks, the dealer replies, casually stretching into a yoga pose. She explains that surviving in a heavily monitored country like Korea requires using minors as meat shields. It is the ultimate cheat code to blindside the cops. But their intel is still totally lacking on the actual heavy hitters. Maybe they really are the localized Batala of Korea, or at least some cracked group fully worthy of that title. The dealer admits he pulled their aggro insanely fast. Ryu grips his desk, not nearly fast enough. Even after sweating through all that raw data, he is absolutely nowhere near the final boss, Lee San. To catch that guy, he needs to speedrun this entire operation. If that one street punk had not gotten wrecked by a car, he could have squeezed him for better drops. But whatever. Cut to the hospital where Hyun-soo is currently rotting in a bed, a TV blaring. The screen is blasting breaking news about that massive billboard hack and the leaked illegal footage. The anchor mentions the cops are sweating hard trying to track the hacker. But the whole investigation completely flatlined. Hyun-soo curses at the screen, cops are just useless trash. Thanks to that rogue hacker, a totally innocent guy like him is trapped in this nightmare. A nurse walks in, that is some pretty wild drama. But Hyun-soo tells him to touch grass and shut it, not funny at all. The nurse wonders why that hacker even pulled a stunt like that. Hyun-soo could not care less about that crazy bastard. Dude was not just some hacker, he was packing heat, an actual gun. The nurse finds that sus, this is not America, bro. Hyun-soo literally has zero clue how he got it either. The nurse lets out a chuckle, noting that this kid really does not know a single thing. He was actually hoping to milk some intel out of him now that he is officially an adult. But tragically for Hyun-soo, his role ends right here. The guy injects something into the IV. Hyun-soo just wonders what this dude has been yapping about. Is he a real doctor or just a complete idiot? But watching that sketchy liquid travel down his IV, Hyun-soo realizes this guy is definitely not a doctor. The nurse shrugs that off, adding that this is going to make one absolutely sick news headline. Tragic death of a high school boy caused by massive drug abuse. Something crazy like that. He opens the valve and it finally clicks for Hyun-soo. He is the literal subject of that upcoming viral headline. He starts thrashing around on the bed, desperately trying to rip the IV out. But panic hits hard when he realizes both of his wrists are totally cuffed to the rails. He screams at the guy to untie him immediately, demanding to know who he actually is and what he is doing to him. The fake nurse calmly clamps a hand over his mouth. Guess he forgot to introduce himself. He is straight from the organization that hired him, the network, and they always pay their dues. The poison violently overtakes Hyunsu. He thrashes around like crazy as blood vessels just burst inside his eyes and brain, making him convulse. The nurse always heard victims drop instantly with blood pouring from their eyes, nose, and mouth. Right upon injection, though, this specific kid is not dying very fast. Watching it happen in person is pretty wild to see. Later that exact day at 2 p.m., Ryu is getting pretty salty. The recruiter swore they would meet up right at this spot, so why is nobody even here yet? Suddenly, some kid runs up asking if he is Ryu Kong-min. He apologizes for keeping him waiting this long, explaining he is repping the network. But Ryu is still low-key triggered. Showing up late is super rude for a polite nation like this. Did this guy fly in from abroad? The boy quickly apologizes, claiming he had some super urgent business to handle. Ryu wonders where that sharply dressed guy from yesterday went, and why this random hoodie kid showed up today. Wait, is this some kind of pyramid scheme? Just flexing fake success to recruit people? The boy immediately shoots that down. His drip might be pretty basic today, but he promises their ride is totally goated. Seeing the insane luxury car pull up, Ryu literally licks the little angel hood ornament on the front. Hyped that joining the network was easily the best decision of his entire life. The boy stares at him completely weirded out, but Ryu is just tasting pure success. They hop inside and Ryu instantly sticks his head right out the window, yelling out that this is sick. A literal V12 twin-turbo engine under there. It really packs power. Just hits different. The boy frantically tells him to bring his head back inside. Hanging out on the highway is crazy dangerous. If they crash now, it is instantly game over. Ryu plays it off, says a little bump definitely will not kill them. The kid just sighs. He explains at this wild speed they are absolutely getting smoked. That first hit is launching them straight out, totally wrecking their skulls and spines. Then they hit the pavement, sliding into massive friction burns and losing insane amounts of blood. Plus, random cars are totally running them over, dragging their bodies under the wheels. Ryu pulls his head inside the car, low-key disturbed by that sick, super dark breakdown. Did this kid major in human anatomy? The boy just laughs it off, chilling, hands on knees. He casually mentions that he would absolutely be the ultimate expert on that. Ryu completely drops his smile. He tells the kid to touch grass, totally creepy vibe. Why would a literal student know that stuff? The boy just gives a light chuckle. Turns out Ryu is a totally garbage actor, the famous Spade A from Batala. Ryu completely loses his cool, locking onto the boy with a straight-up lethal glare. He demands the kid repeat that right now. The boy realizes he actually totally forgot to drop an introduction. He holds out his hand, says it is super nice to meet him. Now watch this flex. The exact legend Ryu has been hunting. It is Lee San himself. Flashing back, the recruiter pulls up on Lee San, confirming that the entire crazy incident at the apartment last night is totally handled. That completely unauthorized little stunt, pulled by an underage member, plus all the wrecked property damage from the fight, the fingerprints, the nasty bloodstains, and literally every single piece of security footage have all been wiped clean. As for the female witness, she is rocking zero signs of external trauma, so they simply finished up by dropping some serious memory wipe drugs. Lee San is actually pretty hyped about that. A chaotic shootout zone and she is fine. She totally dodged all trauma, but just because she does not have visible cuts does not mean they can just ignore some delayed internal bleeding. So they will run a medical scan, then hook her up with follow-up care. The recruiter has zero clue what he means, but Lee San is just trolling, bragging that he sounded like a legit doctor, right? Bro binge-watched medical dramas all night. Now he thinks his fake doctor act is goated, or so he desperately hopes. The recruiter just moves on with his actual report, breaking down his deep dive on Ryu Kang-min. Officially on paper, the guy is just some basic high schooler, but his admin records the entire school database, straight cap, checking out his real identity through a shady internal broker. They figure out he is a legit contract killer straight from the Philippines. This actually stuns Lee San. He stops dead. They seriously sent a literal high schooler to fight a pro killer. Even a random pedestrian would laugh at that. The recruiter admits he was shook too, but apparently that specific hitman belongs to a major syndicate called Batala. The second he hears that name, "Are you guys feeling this tension?" Lee San narrows his eyes, asking if it is that exact Batala. The recruiter confirms it is. Naturally, Lee San gets ridiculously hyped up. Since Ryu is from the absolute top assassin squad in the Philippines, maybe Lee San should grab a quick autograph. And that right there is how he knows Ryu. Snapping back to reality, hearing that name triggers Ryu. He remembers the dealer's warning about his target. Pure instinct kicks in, reaching for his back pocket, but Lee San already knows Ryu wants to end him right here. That is exactly what Ryu is obsessed with. Ryu is thinking, but Lee San tells him to just use basic logic. Lee San came totally prepped to meet the legendary Batala contractor. He points out the window, telling Ryu to check out his buddies. A whole squad of black SUVs is circling their ride, so trying anything crazy would be a massive L. Better for both of them to chill, since Lee-san is actually a huge fanboy. He even brought his very own Ryu merch. Ryu stares at him for a second before his face completely softens into a smile. Yeah, this looks pretty rough. Meanwhile, over at the Sikatuna Cafe, someone is chatting with the dealer. They mention the network has totally caught on by this point. Heart 3 only botched that identity laundering job because the dealer ordered it. But she asks if the dealer is actually totally sure about this. This girl talking is another Batala member support agent and casino dealer, Heart 3. Heart 3 is completely lost here since her boss always demanded those forged identities be absolutely flawless. Makes sense, right? She literally calls the dealer her boss. So why would her boss leave stupid mistakes on purpose? Did she just want an easy excuse to ice some annoying dude? The dealer shuts that down, explaining Ryu actually needs to expose himself. He needs to speedrun his way into the deep core of the organization. Spade Ace cooked up this plan. Heart 3 finally understands. So basically, Ryu is baiting them out by making them super curious. Okay, that makes some sense, but what happens when they figure out Lee-san is the actual target? Like, are they just going to sit back and chill? He's definitely ending up dead or tortured. One or the other. The dealer just stays completely silent. She asks if Heart 3 knows how to flawlessly trick somebody. Heart 3 immediately guesses a honey trap, but the dealer tells her it is actually sneaking one tiny lie into the truth. You literally mix a single drop of cap into 100% pure facts. And this is where things get wild. Lee-san tells Ryu he knows absolutely everything. He came all the way to Korea under a fake name because Badala is hunting him downright. He admits freedom sounds goated and all, but betraying the organization and just dipping, that is wildly reckless even for a completely merciless killer like him. Ryu instantly plays right along, complaining about something that seriously pisses him off. Just thinking about it, Lee-san totally wants to know what happened. Now Lee-san is super hyped and curious, so Ryu has to spill. Ryu knows the stage is now flawlessly set for this. Now he just has to drop that one little lie straight into the truth. He is about to remix his entire actual life story into a completely brand new scenario. His fake backstory kicks off like this. After one final mission icing some random congressman, he was totally promised a sweet retirement. He thought he could finally touch grass in Korea. But instead, an organization member was waiting in Korea to take him out. Turns out, Batala never actually planned on letting him walk away in the first place. Lee-san nods along. So the guy is officially on the run. But shouldn't he have stayed completely off the grid where nobody could find him? Why the heck is he trying so hard to stand out? Lee-san pops open a car seat mini freezer, pulling out some frozen pudding. Ryu basically tells him acting this crazy is the only way to survive, grabbing a pudding cup for himself. They always say if you want to hide it, honestly, they should just stash the dog in a dog cafe, right? But Batala is absolutely going to try to pack him up eventually. He needs solid protection from them. So if Lee-san guarantees his safety, Ryu is down to work for him. Lee-san grabs the pudding, pointing out that dude is asking way too much from an organization literally full of students. Ryu wonders if he pulled up to the wrong spot because the network he knows is a whole squad of contract killers, and that is exactly what the dealer is breaking down now. Those underage members are straight up just decoys. Just totally disposable pawns they use to cover up messy murders. Heart 3 gets it. Ryu's death gets buried under some wild headline about a teen hijacking a bus for a drive-through run right. The dealer scoffs. Yeah, that is not happening. Heart 3 wonders where this insane confidence is coming from, and the dealer asks if she really even needs a valid reason. Because the guy is literally Spade A. Lee-san admits having one of Badala's top-tier assassins join the network is an insanely sweet offer. But he is going to pass since he has had way too many sweets lately and too much sugar just gives you cavities. For all Lee-san knows, Ryu could be totally capping about some of this stuff. Or maybe Ryu rolled up with some super shady ulterior motives. Basically, the dude is a walking red flag. Before Lee-san can even finish, Ryu just sneers. He tells him to stop yapping in circles with all that goofy pudding and dentist crap and just be real. Lee-san is just terrified of an all-out turf war with Batala if he takes Ryu in. That is the real issue here, right? Dude even brought a whole massive squad of goons just to meet up with him. Batala seriously has this guy shaking in his boots. Well, Ryu gets it. The network might be goated in the business, but only inside Korea. But check out this flex. Lee-san brought way more muscle than necessary just to tell Ryu his network will catch the W, not Batala. They pull up to some abandoned amusement park. Ryu hops out randomly, noticing it has been like 10 solid years since he last touched grass at one of these. The vibe is definitely way different though. Is it Halloween season or something here? Lee-san steps out too, mentioning that this creepy place shut down a super long time ago. There are 0 people around and absolutely no CCTV cameras anywhere. Basically, it is the absolute perfect spot to pack somebody up. Now wait for it. Lee San reveals a violently writhing bag inside the car, casually noting he actually planned to off Ryu today too, right alongside this person. Ryu just stares, asking if Lee San changed his mind. When Lee San first got the lowdown on Ryu, there was one specific detail that totally confused him. That female witness who magically showed zero signs of trauma, which means Ryu fought while actively shielding the witness. So why exactly would a contractor protect a random third party? It would have been way more efficient to just completely eliminate her. Was it just because he wanted to avoid making a massive scene even though his whole goal was drawing attention in the first place? Or did he maybe start simping for the exact woman Lee San just bagged, and the person squirming in Lee San's car is finally revealed to be Ha-yoon? Ryu is genuinely kind of shook, demanding to know what is going on. Lee San casually mentions he just wanted to test if Ryu is actually a top-tier asset and if he is truly Battle's legendary Spade A. Lee San just needs to confirm it. Now all Ryu has to do is take a giant spoonful of that pudding sitting right in front of him. If he does, Lee San lets him join the network totally string-free. I mean, a top-tier contractor wouldn't let himself get derailed by some random feelings from yesterday, right? Dude needs to touch grass. Time to lock in. Ryu stares dead at the spoon for a solid minute, wondering if a massive scoop is going to do the trick. Meanwhile, those bullies just ordered themselves a ridiculous 127-centimeter tall parfait tower. One guy is legit questioning how that whole thing is fitting in their stomachs, while another guy complains his brain is going to be totally deep-fried in sugar soon. Their leader keeps blowing up Ha-yoon's phone, wondering what she is even doing. She was the one so hyped to eat this stuff. Did she get kidnapped or something? Honestly, that dude is totally spot on. Because Ryu is looking right at that. Ha-yoon tied up as a hostage, with Lee San casually offering to end her with a spoon. His actual target, Lee San is standing right freaking there. The second he takes him out, the whole mission wraps up. But hold on, is this actually Lee San? What if it is some fake bait just testing him? Total 50-50 coin toss right here. If he hits a decoy, they figure out his plan and dip before he blinks. He cannot just rush in blind, so for now he has got to play along with the guy's twisted little game. Lee San watches his every move, mocking how full of energy Ryu was earlier, but now when it actually really counts, he freezes up. Ryu, however, just straight up stabs her. Lee San is genuinely impressed. But Ryu admits it feels pretty gross stabbing his friend, even knowing she was completely fake. Lee San asks when he figured it out. Ryu shrugs, he knew from day one, even if the disguise was goated. You literally cannot fake someone's muscle density or frame. Suddenly, Lee San straight up vanishes, hopping on the intercom to ask if his mic is working. He worked insanely hard on this jump scare, but Ryu's reaction is so painfully dull, it is just sad. Yep, that is right. That victim was a total fake, a contractor in heavy disguise and an ex-network member turned massive traitor. Daniel rips off that super creepy Ha-yoon mask he had on, complaining they went through all this insane effort just to catch a rogue like him. Daniel whines about why he is doing this. Was this just for some twisted surprise party? Meet Lee Daniel, former network agent. He got slapped with the traitor label for straight up killing civilians and going AWOL. Ryu asks if there is some sketchy ulterior motive here, and Lee San starts clapping, because Ryu is just as sharp as ever. The thing these two guys share is the organization actively trying to pack them up. So Lee San set up a totally crazy redemption match right here. They just have to brawl it out, with their actual lives on the line. The last man standing gets to join his super prestigious network. With that, Lee San signals the start. Daniel instantly charges in using his heavy chains, slamming them down, right where Ryu just stood, totally wrecking the car. He admires the brutal damage and calls it absolutely wonderful. It is perfectly symmetrical, a gorgeous piece of art. A completely perfect decoration for his debut masterpiece. Ryu just wonders what the hell he means, but Daniel gives him zero time to even breathe as he charges right back in, declaring himself an absolute artist who this psycho kills people and turns them into sick art. He drops these pieces to the art world where a literal corpse gets turned into a goated masterpiece of the absolute highest tier. He totally remembers his last piece. The color saturation was so unreal he could taste it, and he even used the target's poor family for background decor. Ryu gets it. So this dude does not just kill innocent folks, he literally plays around with their bodies too. This guy is not just some psycho, he is an artistic psycho. Suddenly, Ryu rushes in from behind, catching the chains on Daniel's arms, trying to totally choke him out. But Daniel twists his whole body around and dodges the danger. Daniel decides to take Ryu's words as a major compliment. Ryu clearly would never get the vibe though. Artists need a flexible mind flowing like the graceful movements of a woman. Breaking free from the restraints, Daniel rushes straight at Ryu. He wants to explain the sick piece he will make him before rigor mortis hits. He needs Ryu's joints and facial muscles to capture a contractor's crazy dynamic life. He plans to bleach Ryu's body in hydrogen peroxide to express his raw, weathered humanity. For the ultimate finishing touch, he will impale Ryu on a pole. That represents his stolen freedom. Ryu totally gets it. So Daniel basically wants to turn him into a literal carousel horse back there, right? Daniel Tut's comparing his epic work to a carousel horse is amusing but disappointing. His art is absolutely not some cheap mass-produced junk. Suddenly, the chains on Daniel's arms wrap around Ryu and the carousel. They pull tight and completely smash the whole ride, kicking up a massive dust cloud in the wreckage. Daniel brags that his art is on a whole different level from that metal and plastic. Ryu wonders what is so wrong with metal and plastic. He tells the guy to watch his mouth, launching a broken carousel horse head straight at Daniel. After Daniel blocks it, Ryu says he really should not go around blaming the materials. A real artist never does something that lame. Watch this. Ryu is showing this psycho what a true artist can really do. He uses the multiple broken carousel poles scattered all over the ground. He starts wrecking Daniel from above, throwing those heavy iron bars right at him. But Daniel is not scared. This predictable attack is super cliché and a major flop. But then Daniel realizes what Ryu is actually cooking up. Ryu was actually drawing a magic circle, and Daniel's chains are completely trapped in this wild formation. Ryu flexes, calling it the ninth circle meteor. He sublimated the sorrow of that busted carousel horse into a literal magic circle. Daniel complains that listening to all this total childish nonsense makes it feel like his own goated artistic sense is getting seriously dulled. But Ryu smiles, saying the real value of the piece starts now. Daniel tries yanking his chains back, but they are completely stuck, pinned down tight. Ryu just stares him down and announces that here it comes, an actual meteor. He grabs a whole Ferris wheel compartment and yeets it straight down at Daniel. The guy literally has zero chance to react as it crashes right onto him. The insane impact drops, leaving nothing but a heavy, hollow silence behind it. He calls this art, so he's going to gladly show him what real peak aesthetics actually look like. Daniel definitely took some damage from that hit, but the guy is completely ready to throw down. And that is even after losing those heavy chains wrapped around his arms. Out of nowhere, Daniel feels a tap on his leg, and a little toy dog starts yapping. Ryu says, "My bad for zoning out, he was just busy looting tools from the gift shop behind him." Ryu totally respects the whole eye for an eye thing, but also respects doing things for the aesthetic. People say art hits different when it is fresh, so it is time for a total reset. This time, they are fighting like magical girls, pulling up with blinding brilliance. Ryu turns on the magic wand and it actually starts singing. It literally tells him to wipe out the demon tribe, and Ryu is shocked it has custom voice lines. Daniel just straight up laughs at this completely goofy behavior. Is he deadass planning to use a toy as a weapon? Ryu shuts him down. A real goated master never ever blames their tools. Daniel totally disagrees, though, thinking Ryu is just completely clueless here. The higher the skill level, the more picky they get. Daniel casually rips some thread off his shirt. Ryu is super confused, honestly, hoping the guy is not about to start stripping mid-fight. Daniel flexes that this is not normal fabric, bragging it is as smooth as a brush. Plus, it is dangerously sharp like a chisel. Out of nowhere, Daniel violently yanks the wire right by his head as Ryu dodges, cleanly slicing through his entire tiara. It even takes out the mascot heads behind him. Yeah, this thread is totally overpowered. Daniel walks up and tells him to hold up a second because he's getting sculpted next. But right before Daniel can pull off his sick move, Ryu spams the wand again. He triggers the Prism Heart Attack, blasting a massive cloud of bubbles straight into Daniel's face. He yells out in pure rage. Honestly, Ryu is pretty shocked that actually landed. Daniel scrubs his eyes, super salty that Ryu just blasted harsh chemicals on his skincare routine. But then he realizes Ryu pulled a vanishing axe, screaming at him to stop camping and show himself. Ryu analyzes his enemy, admitting Daniel's weapon skills are absolutely top tier, from throwing crazy heavy chain attacks to slicing things up perfectly with just string. The dude mastered two completely different fighting styles, which take some seriously sweaty mechanics. But when it comes to basic field awareness, his radar for tracking hidden players is complete trash. Ryu is done gathering data on this guy, deciding it is finally time to end things. Wait, when he actually glances back, all he spots is a massive pile of creepy sculptures. Daniel just glued them together. Ryu wonders if that total eyesore was always there. Daniel spawns right behind him, having used a thread to track his movement. He calls out Ryu, saying the eyesore comment was honestly super toxic. He threatens to start crying, asking if Ryu really wants to deal with that. Ryu spins around to smack him with the wand, but the toy gets instantly chopped. Daniel flexes that the weird sculpture is just a dummy to help craft his real masterpiece, the one made from Ryu. But before Daniel can even finish his villain speech, the toy wand speaks again, but it is nowhere near Ryu's hand. It is straight up jammed into the back of Daniel's neck. Blood heavily sprays out as Ryu rips it free. Ryu asks how that feels, even right now with a literal game over staring him down. The The dude is still hard coping, yapping about art and masterpieces. Before Ryu can even, grabbing at Ryu, Daniel dips out his neck wound, just gushing blood everywhere. Ryu just lets the guy run into the abandoned arcade and casually follows inside. He realizes Daniel is down bad right now. Staring at the end is pretty terrifying. Daniel wraps most of that crazy thread around his own neck and starts yapping. Just like iron buildings rust out over time, death is always tugging on the coattails of life. The invisible string tied between them is totally unbreakable. Ryu wonders why this dude is suddenly getting all philosophical. Is he dropping a podcast next? Daniel just smiles and brushes it off as pure artistic inspiration. Knocking on death's door sparked an idea. Instead of letting the Reaper drag him under, what if he pulls death right to his front porch? He actually rigged his thread to a giant ride. Ryu assumes Daniel has just bled out way too much, and his brain is officially fried. Daniel tells him to cope however he needs to cope, because he already rigged this whole arcade with his trap. Whatever Ryu tries to do now, there is zero chance of escape. Daniel stumbles to his feet, yanking on the massive ride above and pulling the web around the entire room, screaming that this right here is his goated final masterpiece. His absolute peak content. Seriously, you gotta hear this. That crazy sound of a massive, super heavy chunk of rusting iron, totally losing its balance over a few tiny strings. Ryu seriously wonders how these threads have such insane durability. He really needs to get his tailor's number later. Daniel keeps yapping his manic rant. Out here on the inescapable spiderweb of fate, two killers trying to pack each other up is totally pointless, but also kinda sick. The massive ride above them actually starts dropping and Ryu hears the snap. But before he can even react, Daniel is suddenly right in his face, standing tall, and drops the sick title of his brand new masterpiece. He calls it Embracing Death, a Real Fatal Love Story. With that, Daniel violently hugs Ryu, and the entire massive ride crashes straight through the arcade roof. Lee-san rolls up to the spot right as the sun sets. He knows for a fact there was an arcade here earlier, but now it is just a smashed pile of straight-up rubble. Lee-san sighs, choosing game over in a survival match makes artists way too confusing to understand. He looks at Ryu, who is struggling to light a cigarette, and asks his opinion, but Ryu honestly could not care less about that. He just wants his smoke break right now. Ryu asks Lee-san for a lighter. Lee-san checks his pockets, no fire, just some candy. Ryu passes, saying sugar ruins his gains. Anyway, Ryu did exactly what Lee-san ordered. Lee-san nods and confirms the carry. Ryu absolutely crushed the assignment out here today, and took a massive bite out of that messy situation. Ryu basically plated Daniel up and served him on a silver platter, miraculously still breathing too. Ryu totally aced the vibe check, and trust me, having this network back as safety is a massive deal. And Ryu already knows exactly what his end of the bargain is. Point him at a target and they get deleted, no questions asked. Fast forward a few days though, and Ryu is super confused why nobody is hitting up his phone. Hopefully he did not just get ghosted on his shiny new job offer. Whatever, he is just gonna binge YouTube shorts until Daniel finds this totally gross. He actually pities Ryu for calling garbage like that art. Maybe Manhwa Addict dropped a new video, and yep, obviously he did. But as he punches his passcode into the lock, the vibe suddenly shifts. Someone else is totally chilling inside his house right now. Rewind a bit. Ryu hit up the dealer mentioning that Lee-san absolutely loves pudding. The dude might not be a toddler, but Ryu admits pudding hits different. Plus, Ryu totally acts like a kid himself anyway. But if eating pudding makes you a kid, how is bro out here looking two different directions at once? Man is built like an absolute dinosaur. The dealer admits Lee-san is completely different from the boss they originally pictured. And honestly, Ryu highly doubts this Lee-san is even the target they really want. It is insanely hard to buy that this childish dude leads an entire squad of underground hitmen. Lee-san did not reek of blood at all, and he definitely lacked that heavy boss aura. But there was one catch. The guy still gave off a seriously weird vibe. The dealer shot back that pure vibes were not enough. They needed hard physical proof that this was the real Lee-san. Ryu straight up tells her that if they need proof, Lee-san handed it over super easily, because Ryu managed to secure a massive DNA sample. The dealer calls Lee-san way too careless, almost suspiciously careless. Ryu does not have a clue either. Either Lee-san is just dumb or he genuinely feels no need to sweat it. It has to be one of those. The dealer totally agrees. But since they lack an authentic Lee-san DNA sample for a baseline comparison, running a lab test right now is just completely pointless. Ryu admits that is true, but it instantly reminds him of his big favor. The dealer tells him that practically all the required steps are finally done. Looks like that intense yoga training actually paid off. They just need a green light from the top. The second that gets the okay, she is shipping it straight to Korea. Meanwhile, at some sketchy dark port, a young boss asks if he brought the goods, and an older super weathered dude confirms he absolutely did. The old guy busted his tail to secure it as soon as possible just to line up perfectly with the global summit schedule, which kicks off in South Korea in 2 days. The young boss is actually impressed. Pulling off something this sick on such a tight deadline is crazy. The old man is basically goated. Using this item, they can totally bypass all that heavy summit security and assassinate every country president using live octopus Tanghulu right at the main banquet table. Yeah, that is the actual unhinged video plot. Meanwhile, Ryu is just doom-scrolling his phone, binging YouTube shorts after catching up on every single new upload from Manhwa Addict. But then a warning pops up: his screen time just hit 13 whole hours, which kind of shocks even him. No wonder his fingers feel numb. Time to touch grass because he spent another day wasting oxygen. He is low-key annoyed at those network punks since they still completely ghosted him. Even after getting home from school, he stares at that live octopus Tanghulu delivery, sitting right on his doorstep, wondering if he got fired before the job even started. Maybe he should snitch to the Ministry of Labor for scamming him or something. Since the network reached out first, he does not even have a real phone number, or an email address, or a business card, or literally anything useful. He seriously wonders how long these guys plan on keeping him waiting around. They should be way faster, just like this super quick food delivery guy. Ryu grabs the takeout bag, instantly noticing it feels kind of light. Did they forget to pack his chocolate cream bingsu? That would suck. He checks the receipt, but there is a super weird name printed there, plus some jumbled error code making the printer look completely busted. A normie would think it is broken, but this is straight up ASCII code. Text converted into hexadecimal. This is actually a low-key message sent from the network. They are doing the absolute most just to send him a text. Are they seriously that paranoid about getting tracked down? Piecing it all together, though, the actual message is coming through loud and clear. But just to be safe, he needs to run this through a proper converter. And he walks up to his front door and spots something totally sus. The lock mechanism is literally coated with a layer of magnetic powder. Anyone swiping a keycard is taking that powder right with them, and punching in the passcode leaves some ridiculously obvious fingerprints behind. Basically, no matter how someone breaks in, they are 100% leaving a breadcrumb trail behind. Someone is definitely chilling inside right now, and they used a card. A random robber would not be out here moving this carefully. This intruder made absolutely sure to wipe any obvious signs of a break-in. Pure professional Hitman vibes. Ryu immediately pulls out a curved karambit knife. Then he starts acting completely normal, just talking out loud. But he is secretly trying to figure out where this guy is camping and what they want. He scans the kitchen area, seeing absolutely zero signs of life there. Tossing his food on the table, he verifies the living room and kitchen are totally clear. Next up are the laundry room and bathroom, and both are completely empty. Playing it cool, he casually walks over and pulls open his dresser, muttering about needing his tablet because eating without YouTube is impossible. Honestly, same. He fakes leaving, then suddenly lunges back at the dresser, but nobody is in there either. And there are zero footprints heading down into the basement area. So where the heck is this person actually hiding? Suddenly, he hears the bathroom faucet running full blast. Are they seriously giving away their spot right now? So incredibly annoying. Then it clicks. They are using an FA setup fixed angle ambush, baiting the target into a trap using just sound or light, and locking onto a specific entry angle based on how the door swings. The camper only aims right at that one predictable path, waiting to strike from a blind spot the exact second someone steps inside. But there is a goated counter strategy: just open the door the completely opposite way, which he does by ripping the entire handle off. What an absolute madman. Using that one split second, the camper is totally caught lacking. He plans to stab the chest, then instantly sweep the lower body. But the moment he sees her face, dude slips right on some soap. A major fail even for an elite. He crashes hard onto the tiles. He looks up completely, mind blown that she is here. Meanwhile, the dealer already knows Agent Heart 3 has touched down in South Korea. Knowing those two probably already crossed paths, the dealer gets on a call thanking the general manager for his super fast approval. Spade A and Heart 3, two elite operatives dispatched together for some mystery target. A totally wild, unprecedented mission right there. The general manager asks if she seriously thinks this crew can pull it off. The dealer just stays dead quiet. Then she drops the facts based on pure skill alone. They have a 99% shot at winning. But that final 1%, all about teamwork. Meanwhile, Ryu deadass thinks he has an intruder. Nope, it is just Heart 3, jump-scaring the soul out of him. He did ask Batala for backup right. Heart 3 straight up sprays him with a shower head rocking nothing but a towel. She asks why he had to bust down the door like a maniac. Missed her that much? So, Batala is made up of exactly 53 contractors. They are a straight-up assassin guild. Most members handle the dirty work outside, but a few act as top-tier support agents to carry the team. For instance, check out Ryu disguised as this random government secretary. He casually thanks Franklin Willard, the big-brain founder of Zalabi, for showing up. But those nerdy glasses Ryu is rocking actually have a hidden camera inside. And through that lens, our Batala support main Heart 3 watches everything. With insane forgery and wild disguises, she completely hard carries the field contractors. Franklin hypes up the beautiful cathedral outside, saying the vibe has not changed one bit. Once the guy steps inside, she activates some sick optical camo and eye-tracking tech. With her massive brain plays, she sets up the perfect environment for assassinations. Even in some dusty old warehouse, she makes it work and leaves zero traces. She is simply goated as Batala's very best support agent. Back to reality, Heart 3 wonders why Ryu rushed her to wash up so fast. But maybe he had a totally different reason. Ryu tells her to shut up and just open her mouth already. Because here comes the live octopus Tankhulu. Heart 3 tells him to get that cursed thing away before she just beats him to death. Ryu still has absolutely trash taste in food, just like that gross paste he made after training. Ryu knows she used to sneak into his room just to dump that garbage out. Her annoying habits have not changed at all. If she was visiting, she should have texted. Why the heck did she resort to straight-up trespassing? She claims she did it because touching grass for even a second is a massive hassle. Ryu is so confused. Did something happen? She just sighs. Guys keep begging for her number, and curving them one by one is just way too annoying. Ryu does not care at all and sarcastically says that must be super rough. Heart 3 pivots the chat since she heard some wild intel from the dealer. Ryu actually secured the target's DNA. He nods and confirms it. So he is dumping the DNA profiling onto her. She gets it, but Ryu already knows the drill. A random DNA sequence alone will not identify anybody. He needs a known reference sample to compare it against. That is literally how DNA profiling functions. Basically, until he fetches her a solid reference sample, she is completely off the clock. She gets up to stretch, totally treating this like a free vacation to go on a huge shopping spree. Probably just online shopping, though. Ryu tells the goated support main he only has one job for her. As it turns out, a crazy directive hit the network. And the second he cracked that code, prepare yourself for this one, he was totally shook because the target is huge, and that massive VIP is currently filming a scene right now. He casually lights his cigar mid-clash. The older dude asks the rookie killer what he is even doing. The young killer rushes in totally tilted that the veteran is way too chill right now, but his sick blade combos get entirely shut down by the older man. The veteran flexes, saying this kid really needs to touch grass. Honestly, in this bloody industry, getting old means you are absolutely goated. With one heavy strike, the older dude completely shatters the nearby window. He drops some harsh facts, surviving all those insane, life-threatening hit contracts. Basically proves you have top-tier skills and serious experience. So the rookie better humble himself instead of acting like a total clown. Anyway, the target's real name is Kim Young-soo. The guy is a literal actor. He is basically the nation's sweetheart, famous for having a super wholesome vibe. He built his own agency and still acts while mentoring up-and-coming rookies. Heart 3 thinks this is wild. Seriously, I am with her. Why target a random celebrity? Did some toxic hater order this? Ryu doubts it, but Heart 3 thinks this gig is annoying. Hitting a VIP means dodging managers and bodyguards, making him stupidly hard to reach. Plus, offing a celeb sparks massive internet drama and a huge police crackdown. Ryu just leans back in his chair. He honestly could not care less. It is a total cakewalk because they are not actually assassinating the guy. The decrypted file proves that murder is definitely not the goal here. They just have to swipe a very specific item from his stash. Ryu only needs to crack this dude's safe and bag the loot. Heart 3 admits that sounds easy, but she is completely out of gear. Ryu tells her to chill out while he throws some stuff together. He drags her down to the basement, and it is definitely not just basic scraps. The guy has an entire stacked workshop down there. Ryu hopes this works, and she is absolutely speechless. We are talking an ultra-precision fiber laser marker, an SLA resin 3D printer, and an insanely expensive high-end desk setup. They are literally just robbing an office, so this flex is way overkill. Ryu reminds her that entertainment labels have crazy tight security to stop leaks and block out toxic stalker fans. The main chairman's office, Young-soo's private room, stays locked down without his actual biometric scan. Simply put, Young-soo has to open that heavy door all by himself. Heart 3 says they need a fake ID so good it bypasses his radar. Ryu nods, suggesting they spoof a secretary, or maybe even the building janitor. Cooking up a fake profile like that should be light work for Heart 3, right? She admits it is easy, but she straight up rejects those side quests. Her only active mission is to give tech support for anything directly tied to Lee San's identity. So whatever this new favor is, it is officially off the menu today. Ryu smirks, asking if she is sure, because he was fully planning to fund a massive unlimited shopping spree just to say thank you later. But since she is passing on it suddenly, Heart 3's hardcore shopping instincts kick into overdrive. She practically drools over the hype and immediately agrees to help. Fast forward to tonight, Ryu pulls up and you know Heart 3 already dropped the master plan. The massive glass structure right in front of him is Y Entertainment headquarters. To breach the boss's office and secure that highly guarded loot, getting up here usually takes 3 steps, checking IDs and signing the log. Outsiders have to pass security gates using a totally pre-screened access card, plus a private elevator meant only for VIPs with the big boss's permission. Ryu is actually low-key shocked. He just waltzed through security with this exact face. But Heart 3 confirms nobody would even dare try stopping a face like his. The guy rolling into work right after touching grass on a morning hike is literally none other than Chairman Kim Young-soo. Ryu is his literal twin. He totally thought she would hand him a janitor fit. Heart 3 insists that play is just way too basic. Ryu agrees since the top office is definitely an upgrade from the dirty restrooms. Heart 3 boots up the final step, a sick biometric scan right here. But she catches something super weird, an error that absolutely shouldn't happen. The main office security is already completely dead. Ryu pushes the cracked door open and spots something seriously messed up inside. His exact double is lying right on the floor, totally dead. The real Young-soo bled out from a brutally slashed neck artery. That cut is way too clean for an amateur. A professional hitman, maybe. Out of nowhere, in absolute silence, someone presses a deadly pin against Ryu's neck, and he figures this is the killer answering his question right on cue. Such a goated cliffhanger. See you next time.